Good morning. I hope you all had a very fine summer, a relaxing summer, away from the hustle and bustle of regular life. I, however, had the worst summer of my life, and I'm not kidding. Sometime in the springtime, I overheard the priest talking. It was Father Stephen and Father Joe and Father Bob. The deacons, however, were not there, thank God, because they were talking about the summertime and what each of them were going to do. And Father, the guy who's the pastor here, I don't know what his name is, so somebody, he said, "What are we going to do with Jack?" I said, "Well, maybe they're going to put me away." And they said, "Well, you know what? He's probably never been off for the summer. Why don't we give him off for the summer? You know, he's getting older, and he can't walk that well, and, you know, sometimes his mind goes, so better to get him out." So one day, Father Stephen said, "Have you ever been off for the whole summer?" I said, "No. 51 years a priest, never been off for the whole summer, or most of the summer." He said, "Well, we're going to give you a gift. You can take off for July and August." Well, I was shocked, absolutely shocked. I had my last Mass on June 30th, the 12 o'clock Mass. The car was packed, got some food, my food that I bought, not the rectory's food. And I packed the car and on my way to the shore. I got down to around exit 100 on the Parkway, which is around Belmar, Neptune, and I began to feel sick. So I pulled over, and I had ginger ale in one of my cup holders. I took a little bit of ginger ale and waited a few minutes, got back on the road. Well, by the time I got to the house in Bayville, I was really sick. My mind was going crazy. I couldn't look. So I got the food out of the house, put it out of the car, put it in the refrigerator, and then I went upstairs, got in bed, and stayed there for 6 weeks. I had COVID. Now, during the time that everybody had COVID, I washed my hands 5 times, wore a mask, and I never got it. Thank God I never got it. Well, I got it. And I was in bed for 6 weeks. Father Stephen knew, but he never told anybody. They thought I was dead, and I thought I was dead. Believe it or not, I have the long-term COVID, and my breathing was I couldn't get my breath. I thought I was gone. And in fact, I made my peace with God. I said, if this is the time you want me, take me. But it didn't happen. Memory is one of the greatest gifts that God has given to us. And that memory could be good or could be bad. Last Wednesday, September 11th, we remembered. You can ask anybody here, where were you when those planes hit the World Trade Center? Everybody knows where they were. It's like when John Kennedy was killed. For those of you who know who John Kennedy was, we know exactly where we were. I had, after that, for the next year and a half, 32 funerals of people from my parishes or whom I had known. I was a pastor in Midland Park during that time, September 11, 2001, and I watched it, as many of us did, on television for the whole day. I couldn't take my eyes off it. One of the people who passed away was a member of my parish, Nativity. Her name was Janet. I would see them come every Sunday, one 6-year-old kid on one hand, the husband who passed away, another hand. And she was as big as a house, 8.5 months pregnant. She called me that night and said, "Father Jack, Bob never came home." And I knew he was gone. It was a very, very painful time of her life. We say that people have crosses. That was a cross. Raising 3 children without a husband. Raising 3 children with a husband is tough. Raising 3 children without a husband is impossible. They could not find his body. Over a year later, someone from New York called her and said, "We think we have found your husband." Now, they didn't say what it was. She asked me to go over to New York to a big tent for her to identify. I have never felt so bad for someone else in my life. So we walked in hand, and they walk over to a table, and there's a sheet on the table. And as they pull the sheet back, she begins to cry, and when she cries, I start. It was not him. It was his hand from here to here. How did they know that? She recognized the hand right away. You recognize your spouse's hand. But he had the ring, his wedding ring, on his finger. And they had to literally cut it off. And she looked in the band and said, yes, this is his. It says, all my love. This woman who had to deal with crosses every day was a very, very spiritual person, although she didn't know it. One of her favorite saints is Mother Teresa. She happened to be in a doctor's office bringing one of the kids for a checkup, and she saw an article from Mother Teresa. And she said to me, she is a wonderful woman. I'll never be like her. And there, my friends, is the problem. The problem for me, the problem for you, and the problem for Janet. We're not meant to be other people. We're meant to be ourselves. God has given us a gift. He has created us in His image, which means we have a soul. We don't look alike. We don't speak alike. Our backgrounds are not alike. Nothing is alike except our soul. And I told her, you're a very spiritual person. Why would you want to be like Mother Teresa? You don't know what crosses she has. You don't know what her life is. No one does. But so many times we like to be other people. We say, wow, wouldn't I like to have that house? Wouldn't I like to have her children or his children? Wouldn't I like to be on vacation where they go? Wouldn't I like something other than yourself? Jesus said to walk in His footsteps, no one else's. God gives us crosses. Some small, some large. You want to change with Janet? You want to have her crosses? Or do you want to walk in your own?